back, everyone. I just want to make another tutorial to kind of go over as best as I know how to arrange songs in a timely manner. And what I've got here is just a song that isn't formatted at all. This is pretty much what it looks like if it was brought in directly from Song Select. So when you bring in a song, I just have House of the Lord right now set up. It doesn't have a blank slide in front and there's no arrangement made yet. So it does come with a master setup, and when you download from Song Select, they'll typically break a song into verse, chorus, verse 2, maybe it might have an interlude, might have a bridge. This one says chorus 2 and an ending. So these are some pretty common groupings of a song. And the more you'll get used to doing songs, the more you'll kind of see kind of a pattern of how they're laid out. But for the most part, I don't usually do any changing and arrangements of anything inside of this master panel. So even though I'm clicked on this song, I really don't want to do any modifications until I go to new arrangement. And if this was a song that was already imported in and we might have played it in the past, we probably have an arrangement here that says Pam or Matt or whoever might be leading that particular worship service. They might have a particular arrangement that they do when they do a song. So for our case right now, I'm just going to say new arrangement. I'm going to call this one Pam. It automatically brings in each of these components for the song. And if we look at the sheet, this is where that sheet comes in handy that they give us. So this is an example of a sheet that Pam might have. And I'm just going to make it so it's a little bit bigger here. So I can see from this breakdown, it's verse 1, chorus, interlude, verse 2, chorus, bridge, bridge, chorus, chorus, ending. So if I just kind of go off of this, I'm just going to set it off to the side. Now I'm just going to rearrange it in the order that I see here. So V1 is verse 1, C is chorus, interlude is next. So far so good. Verse 2, and then we go back to chorus. But on this arrangement, I see it goes back to bridge. So in here, all I need to do is go down to chorus 1 and bring it back in so that it's now verse 2 chorus to match this verse 2 chorus. Then we've got two bridges, two choruses, and an ending. So I'm just going to bring another bridge, and I'm going to get rid of this interlude because it doesn't show it in our layout that Pam gave us, and then I'm going to do chorus 1. I'm seeing here on this song that it brought in a chorus 2, but just by looking over the words on this sheet that we were given, I'm noticing that there is no difference between this chorus and this chorus. I think there's another variation of the song where they do have a chorus 2 that does have a different words to it, but for our case, we don't use them. So I'm just going to put two choruses and then the ending. And one other thing that I'm just looking on this and I'm finding without even listening to the song at all, if I scrub down and I look at this ending and I compare it to what's on the sheet here, if you see here it says ending, we shout out your praise, we shout out your praise, we shout out your praise. That's the only thing it says here is we shout out your praise. Yet on this ending, I'm going to make this a little bigger so we can maybe see it. Why is it not stretching out? There we go. I'm pretty much done with that screen, but it's basically we shout out your praise, and then they go into there's joy in the house, there's joy in the house today, we shout out your praise. So it's a little bit different, and I know there's going to be some change here, and I'll come back and fix that a little bit later. But this is pretty much what I would do just to kind of get it as close as we can to how they sing it. So some other things that we'll typically do is add a blank slide, and we typically throw one at the beginning and then one at the end. This helps so that we can have a cleared out slide when we go from a song to a song. So if I go ahead and just click on the bottom left hand corner, the plus sign, add a new slide, it always pretty much throws it at the end, I've noticed, even if you're kind of queued up here. Let me see, let me try it. Add a new slide. Yeah, see, even though I had that one highlighted, it still threw it at the end. I'm just going to delete that one. I don't really need it. I just wanted to make the point that if you make a new slide, it's probably going to throw it at the end. And as soon as it does that, it's color coded to being an ending grouping. And really what we want to do is make a new grouping for this slide. So I'm going to make it a blank slide. So I just right clicked, group, blank, and now you'll look up on top, you'll see we have an option for blank. In this blank I can throw, so now I've got one at the beginning, one at the end, and we can use these also if there's like a break in the song and we just don't want any lyrics there. So say there was a break in the song. Yeah, man, this thing is being a little temperamental. I'm trying to just click and drag, and there we go. If you had a break here, for example, you could throw it in the middle. But I'm just going to get rid of that one by clicking on the X. Let's see here. So this is also where Christian will probably have already some graphic predefined, and he'll throw up on this slide. So we're going to have that first slide, which gives us kind of our visual, our background element, media element, and then it should apply for every song, every lyric after that. It'll be behind it. And then the last song, or the last slide of the song, just a heads up, we're going to be probably soon activating the CCLI information, so it's showing up here on the last slide. I think some of you have already played around with this, where you just kind of find the right groupings, you put it in the order that you want, and in theory, if everything was laid out perfectly, you'd be able to just go through all the slides and everything would be fine. But as we know, there's always going to be little changes. And one of the changes that I noticed on this one was that this ending was just pretty much "we shout out your praise" repeated 4 times rather than these other words here. So one way of editing this slide, if you just right click, go to quick edit, it brings up a little easy and simple interface. You can just quickly change the letters there. You could also, since it's repeating, hit Control C to copy and Control V to paste, and you'll notice again it threw it at the very end, which I didn't really want it there, so I'm just going to drag and drop it to the middle there. And I'm going to delete this one, so just right click, and I was hoping to delete it, but it's not looking like it's going to allow me to do it there, so I just hit delete on the keyboard and it worked. So now we shout out your praise, we shout out your praise, we shout out your praise, and let's say we needed one more, and I've already copied it once, so I'm going to try and paste it once more. Throws it at the end, fine. And again, Control V to paste on a PC, it's Command V to paste on a Mac. And I'm doing this from home, by the way, so again, the interface might look slightly different at church, but it's the same basic concept. So from here, the ending is set up, and one reason why we want to keep all the slides in perfect order is because we are going to be doing stage display soon, so it's not something where you can just, if they repeat a chorus or a verse, you can't just write a label necessarily and put repeat just for your own reference, because when we do the stage display, it's going to show the current slide as well as the next slide being queued up. And if we don't have these slides in order, and if we just have, say, like a label like ×4 for repeat 4 times, they'll see the next slide as being something else and they won't see that label necessarily. So we need to keep things just in linear order and as best we can, if that makes sense. Okay, one other thing I wanted to mention about is the tricky part is if there is something that changes. So say, for example, there was a variation in the chorus, and say, for example, the second chorus, for whatever reason, this isn't the case on this song in real life, but say that they only sang the first, let's say, three of these slides and they didn't sing this fourth slide on that second time through that they did this chorus, you can't just delete it. You can't just like right click and delete this slide because it actually affects every instance of this chorus that's in this whole song. And so that would be a problem. So I'm going to hit Command Z because you see now that this chorus up above only has three, where I only was trying to get rid of that single slide on the second time through on the chorus, but it took away that last slide on every single instance. So I'm going to hit Control V, which again is Command V on a Mac, to undo that. And the best way that I've found to do this is to, it's kind of a pain, but copy this guy, copy this chorus, all the slides. So you can do that by clicking the first slide, holding Shift, and then clicking the last slide to highlight all the ones you want to have copied. Hit your Command C to copy, and then we actually need to get rid of this whole section here. And I'm noting that it's starting on slide 29 where I need to fill this in. So now I'm just going to get rid of this slide, put my cursor on 28 right before where I want to paste it, and then hit Command V again to paste. And now I have at the end, you see how it tends to want to throw it at the end, and I don't know if there's a better way around it, but I can't figure it out. Since it threw it on the end of the song, I'm going to need to move it back to where it needs to be, which is right after this. And one thing, the reason why I just did that copy rather than just bring down another version of this chorus down here is because if you brought this chorus and threw it down, again, everything would be linked together and you couldn't change the variation of the song at all. This one though, this second chorus that I just threw in, because I hit Command C to copy and then paste it in, it breaks that link that connects all these choruses together. So now if I were to, if you can see here, I've got 4 slides for this second version of this chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now it's the same as the one right before it. But now if I were to right click, hit delete, you'll look up above now, and this other chorus, chorus 1, has 1, 2, 3, 4 slides. And the second time through, this chorus has 1, 2, 3 slides. So that's the only way I figured out how to really separate and unlink the different instances of a grouping. Like if you have a different variation of it, I could also right click this and change these words basically. And instead of theirs, I could do there is, close out, and you'll notice the one before it's still theirs. It's not being messed up by this other one. So if you guys find out a better way of doing this, feel free to let me know. But for right now, that's the best that I've got for that. And also, just so some of you are aware, there is a section of this on reflow. I don't want to get too into this section, but if you wanted to do a bunch of editing of the text in a quick way, you can through this reflow view. But it's not, from my experience, a great way of like rearranging the songs like I just did here for getting things in the proper order. I'd rather get stuff in the proper order using the arrangement view, which again, I don't think I showed this earlier, but it's found up here on the top, this little tab here. That's how you get to all your arrangements. But you can kind of bounce between this reflow view, and this is a great way to like break up slides or something if things aren't looking quite right. Kind of like in Easy Worship, if you have a slide that you wanted to break up, say you wanted to say, and we won't be quiet, we shout out your praise. If for whatever reason you wanted to break after and we won't be quiet, I'm just going to hold Alt, and I don't know if you can see the cursor, it's small, but I have it right after quiet. It's not behaving. Oh, sorry, it was control click. I'm doing things on a PC and it's a little different on the Mac too, so some of these short keys themselves are going to be different. But it was a control click that broke up that slide. And so now, yeah, it's separated, but I can hit the space bar back just to delete that break, and now it's back to a single slide if you need. So that's one way of doing it if you want to break up the slide. I'm going to go back to show view, and I think that's as long as I want this tutorial to be. There'll be more questions, I know, but for the most part, just wanted to show you how to unlink different groupings and what I've figured out so far in terms of the best way to get this formatted as quickly as possible. Still a lot of button clicking, I know, but yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask myself and some of the others who are wrapping their brains around ProPresenter. All right, well, thank you very much and goodbye.